The night the storm hit Ridgefield, the entire town seemed to vanish. I remember standing on the cracked, rain-soaked platform of the old Ridgefield station, my jacket soaked through, my breath turning into white mist in front of me. The wind howled like it had lost something, and the rain slammed against the metal roof so hard it sounded like bones snapping in the dark. There wasn't another soul around, not a single passenger, not even the old man who usually swept the platform. The station lights flickered weakly, humming with that dying fluorescent buzz, and every now and then, lightning would light up the tracks, stretching into the endless black. I glanced at my phone. No signal. Figures. The digital clock above the ticket booth blinked 11:47 p.m. The last train was supposed to arrive at midnight. I should have left when the power first went out, but the rain was too heavy to walk through, and besides, I had nowhere else to go that night. My car had died 2 hours back on a deserted road, and Ridgefield Station was the only shelter for miles. I remember thinking how strange it was that even the vending machines were off. No hum, no glow, just dead silence between thunderclaps. Then I heard it, a whistle, long hollow, echoing through the storm. It didn't sound mechanical. It sounded alive, like something breathing through rust. My stomach tightened as the vibration rippled through the platform. The rails began to hum, faintly at first, then stronger, shaking the puddles around my feet. A pair of headlights appeared down the track, dull and yellowish, slicing through the curtain of rain. I stepped closer to the edge. The lights flickered once, twice, then steadied. But what rolled in out of the storm wasn't the 12 o'clock train. It was wrong. The engine was enormous, old-fashioned, black iron dripping with water and grime. Its windows were opaque, fogged from the inside, and instead of the Amtrak logo, there was nothing but rust and streaks of dark, greasy residue. The entire train looked like it had crawled up from underground. No sound came from the cars except for a faint metallic groan, like the whole thing was breathing through its own decay. When it stopped, I noticed something else. No conductor, no station announcement, just that open door waiting. I hesitated, but the wind behind me was merciless. The rain hit like ice needles, and when lightning split the sky again, I caught a glimpse of the name carved faintly into the engine's side. Number 3017, the hollow line. I never heard of it. Before I could second-guess myself, I stepped inside. The warmth hit me immediately, a thick, suffocating warmth that smelled faintly of dust and something else. Iron, maybe. The lights inside the car were dim, tinted a sickly yellow. Old leather seats lined both sides, and the windows were fogged so completely that it felt like being sealed in a tomb. I called out, "Hello, anyone here?" My voice echoed strangely, traveling too far down the corridor. No answer. I took a seat near the window, telling myself that maybe the power outage had forced the station to reroute an old train. Maybe this was some emergency service I'd never heard of. But deep down, something fell off. The hum of the train wasn't right, not rhythmic, not steady. It pulsed like a heartbeat. When we started moving, the jolt nearly knocked me off my seat. The rain outside vanished into blur. I tried to relax. I wiped the fog from the window to look out and froze. There were no lights outside, no buildings, no trees, just blackness, as if the train wasn't moving through the night, but in it. Then came the footsteps, slow, deliberate, from the next car. I turned my head toward the connecting door. The small window, and it was fog too, but I could see a shadow on the other side, tall, thin, moving closer. "Hey," I called out, my voice trembling. "Is this the midnight train, too?" The door slid open, and the lights flickered. Someone, or something, stood there. He wore an old conductor's uniform, the kind they used back in the 1940s, but the fabric was faded, frayed at the edges, and soaked through like he'd walked straight out of the storm. His cap was tilted low, hiding his face. "Ticket," he rasped. The word sounded like metal grinding against stone. I don't have one," I said, forcing a laugh. The station booth was empty. "I can pay." He tilted his head, slow and unnatural, like a machine testing its own joints. Then he whispered again, not to me, but to himself. "They all ride without tickets now." And just like that, he turned and walked down the aisle, each step echoing too loud for the narrow space. When he disappeared into the next car, I exhaled, but the relief didn't last, because suddenly I realized something. The windows were no longer fogged. They were clear now, and what I saw outside wasn't rain anymore. Bodies, hundreds of them, floating alongside the train, their faces pale and distorted, their eyes wide open and mouths gaping as if screaming underwater. Their hands brushed against the glass as the train sped through the void. I stumbled back from the window, my chest tightening. The lights flickered again. Every time they blinked off, I saw more passengers appear. A woman in a soaked wedding dress 2 seats ahead. A man with half his face burned, staring at me without blinking. A little boy clutching a teddy bear with no eyes. They were all sitting silently, watching. The hum of the train grew louder, vibrating in my teeth. I couldn't take it anymore. I ran for the exit door between cars, but when I grabbed the handle, it was cold, wet. When I looked down, my hand was red. Blood. The metal was slick with it. The next flicker of light showed handprints smeared along the walls, the floor, even the ceiling. The shadows of the passengers seemed to crawl closer. And then the conductor appeared again, this time right behind me. "Ride's not over," he whispered, his breath icy against my ear. "You can't leave before the last stop." He reached out, and his gloved hand brushed my shoulder, freezing it numb instantly. I screamed and swung around, but he was gone. The passengers were gone too. Only empty seats remained. And in the reflection of the window, my face wasn't mine. It was pale, sunken, eyes black as the storm outside. I fell to my knees, gasping, trying to tell myself it was a dream. Just a nightmare. Just shock. But then I felt it, the train slowing down. The screech of metal filled the air as sparks flew outside the windows. When it finally stopped, the doors slid open with a groan that sounded almost like a sigh. Rain hit my face again. I stumbled out and froze. It was the same station, Ridgefield, same flickering lights, same broken clock. Except now, the sign above the booth said 12 a.m., departure delayed. I turned back toward the train, but it was gone. Not moving away, not fading, just gone. The tracks were empty. Only the sound of thunder remained. I stood there for what felt like hours, shaking, soaked, unable to make sense of anything. My watch had stopped at 12 o'clock exactly. Then the sound of footsteps echoed again. I turned. It was the old station janitor, the one I'd noticed missing earlier. He looked startled to see me. "Son, what the hell are you doing here?" he shouted over the rain. "This place has been closed for years. We tore the tracks down after that derailment." I blinked. "Derailment?" He nodded slowly. "Train 3017. Back in '59, whole thing went off the bridge. Everyone on board died." My stomach dropped. I turned to look behind me, and for just a second, lightning flashed, illuminating the tracks. And there it was, the shape of the train, half visible, rusty, waiting in the storm. Then darkness again. I must have fainted because when I opened my eyes, I was sitting on the bench, dry. The morning sun was peeking through the clouds. Birds were chirping. The storm was gone. No train, no janitor, no footprints. Just my phone buzzing weakly in my pocket, 12:01 p.m. A whole 12 hours gone. I stood up, dazed, and walked to the edge of the platform. The tracks were overgrown, twisted metal buried under weeds. But as I turned to leave, I heard it again. That whistle, long hollow, echoing through the distance. I froze. My hands trembled. The sound faded, but the air stayed cold. And for a moment, I could swear, just before the wind carried it away, I heard a voice whisper from behind me. "Tickets, please."